Hello Virgo, these are your tarot cards for May of 2023. I'm Danielle Stimpson of Learn Reiki Philadelphia, and if you enjoy tarot, Reiki, crystals, or all three, I highly recommend that you click that subscribe button and turn your notifications on so you don't miss an opportunity to enjoy them with me. So without any further ado, let's jump into your cards. And heads up, I definitely recommend that you check out the videos for your sun, moon, and rising sign so that you get a more complete view of your entire month ahead. So let's dive in. Okay, so Virgo, I will level with you. There is a tower appearing in this reading. I shuffled many times, I used more than one deck, and two cards kept showing up, the tower and the Nine of Swords. But bear with me, it might not be the end of the world. But just putting it out there, it's in this reading. Okay, so focus of the month, the Emperor. The Emperor is all about rigid order, structure, holding control in a very rigid sense. On the most positive side of the Emperor, we have this good. We have like stability. On the flip side of that is sometimes stability can hold broken things in place. Sometimes stability prevents progress, and sometimes stability, it becomes more of a hindrance than a help. So the Emperor can be a good thing or a bad thing depending, as most things can. But this is your focus of the month, is the rigid rules, the operation, and the control. All of those kinds of themes are coming up for this month. Where did we come into this month out of April? That is represented by yet another major arcana, and that is Judgment. Judgment is not the same as Justice. Justice is blind. Here's the scales, taking out all emotional empathy and all extenuating circumstances, really just looking at the facts, just the facts. Judgment is very different. It's looking at all of the extenuating circumstances. It's almost like the idea of judgment, like in a biblical sense, like the angel blows the horn and it's like, okay, everybody stop. What are we looking at here? And what this is, as we can see here, this is the steampunk tarot, by the way. And so there's a lot of really awesome and epic imagery. But here we have the angel, and instead of a horn, it's a phonograph. But we have people in this sort of flying machine or buggy, and they're sort of like, we've just been caught probably doing something not so great. Judgment, you feel like you've come in and it's almost like suddenly someone has just sort of put a spotlight on you and maybe everyone around you, or maybe everyone around you and you're kind of caught up in it, but this sense of like, okay, everybody freeze and take a look at how things are right now, this snapshot of this moment, and everything kind of being laid out on the table. So that's how you're entering the month, is this moment of judgment on a very big scale. There might be other people looking at it. Also, major arcana, which are the cards with the Roman numerals here. Major arcana indicate major life things, major soul things. Your whole first row was all major arcana. So what's the challenge for your month? And by the way, this is how you entered the month. So this is what you already know, how you feel kind of coming into May. So the challenge for the month is where that tower showed up. Now, the tower is often misunderstood, maligned, not really. It's not a great card. The tower is all about like lightning hits, things blow apart, no one is stuck. The card that comes before it in the tarot in terms of sequence is the devil. The devil is, in my opinion, a far worse card most of the time. The devil basically has two people chained together. They're stuck. Everybody's stuck doing the bidding of this other thing. And the devil card can mean anything from ulterior motives to substance abuse, all the things that are our lowest vibration, our lowest expression of ourselves. The tower is the natural release point that comes after it. And it's basically like, well, you're not stuck anymore. That's the good news. The bad news is everything's falling from the sky. And that's very much what the tower means. It's sort of like all of a sudden, what was hidden, what was kept, what was happening is just sort of blown apart. Everything comes to pieces, and it's like you can't help but just look around and say, okay, now what? And that's pretty much what this means. It's like everything blows up and then, okay, now what? Is really what the Tower is. So the challenge is going to be that it feels like things are just falling down and aspects of life are raining from the sky. In some ways, this can be a challenge, especially it's like in the obvious way, it is a challenge. But at the same time, if you felt stuck or hindered or kind of wound up in something that you couldn't find an escape from or a release from or a way out of, the good news is that that's not going to be the case anymore. So sometimes the Tower can be good. Usually, like, it's generally never comfortable. Often it's pretty nasty. But this is a big time ending. So the challenge is some kind of big time endings or things blowing up. If it's a business, it's like impropriety and it probably closes the business. That kind of an analogy is the best I can give. So what do you do with all of this? Best path forward is the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles are like coins. They're finite resources. They are money. If you have a business, this would be the goods you might sell, for example. This is looking at everything you have. Specifically, Seven of Pentacles is taking a very pragmatic look at what you have and the energy you're putting out to earn it, and what does it all equal up to be. It's like a thorough and deep accounting, like an inventory day. It could be like literal cogs and things, but more than likely, given the weight of your reading, you can't control what is coming to light. You can't control what is crashing, what's burning, what's getting struck by lightning. It's out of your control. Seven of Pentacles gives you an opportunity to take a firm look at the nuts and bolts. What do I have? What are my opportunities? What are the very real things that I own? The roof over my head? What are my, what's in my accounts? All of those things. Taking a firm look at everything that you have, what your output was, and what you have to show for it. This is basically seeing what you still have left, but also starting to make some decisions about, am I putting my energy in the right place? Is there a way that I can yield more from my work? That's often the vibe of this. So while everything is crashing and burning, it would do you right. The best advice was sort of take stock of what you do have. Take an accounting of what you do have. That's the best advice they're giving you. The last is the Whispers from Your Guides card, which is exactly what you would think. It's your guides giving you some advice. The Nine of Swords. This looks terrifying. It's not. This actually is a sign that things feel more terrible than they might actually be. So these swords that are up here with, like, they're being actually flown around by bats. And she's waking up in the night with her hands on her head, like waking up from a nightmare. What this card actually is saying is that these swords, which are its aspect of the mental, like what's going on in your mind. And what this is actually trying to say is the worry is worse than what actually is in some case. The other wisdom of this card is generally that there is wisdom. There is something to be learned here if you can look beyond the fear and the worry and the mental exhaustion. It's sort of like your mind is running a million miles a minute and thinking of the worst possible scenario all the time. And so it's like, wait a minute, take those worst possible scenarios, put them out of your mind, and see what beyond these fears there is to learn about. What beyond these fears is the truth? What is making you feel so fearful? What's the root of it, and what you can do to change it? She's in a position where her mind has just run away with the weight of everything and even made it feel a lot worse than it is. Where if you can manage to ground that fear somehow, you can actually look beyond the worry and the fear and say, okay, what's going on here? What can I take from this? What can I learn from it? What didn't I see the first time that I can take a look back on? What exactly all of this is showing up in your specific world, in your specific life? I would definitely check out the videos for your sun, moon, and rising if you happen to know them, if you know all three, because that'll give you more of the insight into what it applies to, but chances are you kind of already know. If you've been doing anything sketchy, it's gonna hit the fan. It is already hitting the fan, and it is gonna continue to hit the fan, but there's lessons you can learn from it. If you were not doing something sketchy, but the people around you were, and you're kind of caught in the whirlwind of it, the good news is that you'll be able to, extract, or really focus on extracting what's yours and pull yourself out of the scenario. You won't be stuck in it any longer. I know there's that expression, the best disinfectant is sunlight. That's pretty much a lot of what's going on here. But depending on what the sunlight is bringing out and what the sunlight is seeing, it doesn't necessarily feel very good if that what it's seeing is a side of you that maybe isn't doing the best thing. This can also be a matter of control issues and having to let go of control. This can also be looking at the things that you've always wanted to stick to and saying, wait a minute, where have they brought us? Where have they got us? They keep causing issues. We have to build a new set of rules. We have to build a new structure in which to thrive that doesn't continually bring us to another tower and then another scramble to get it together, and then it falls apart again. With this being in the focus, I would take a look at your relationship to control. Absolutely. But I would also take a look at the rigid structures in your life and see, with what's falling apart, how much of that is yours and how much of that was never yours to begin with, and start to make some rules around what is going to bring you joy. So do the best you can to get through this month. Definitely take the time to look through everything. Take your personal inventory, look within yourself, and see what you want going forward. And definitely remember that what this is your guides telling you, the most important message they can give you this month is it seems much worse than it is in your mind. So without gaslighting it, because it's still definitely not fun, but it feels worse in your mind than it even is. So with that, Virgo, I wish you the best month ahead. And remember, it's after things like this coming apart that things can be rebuilt in a much better and more sustainable way. So you have that to go forward. And this is you taking note of what you still have to move forward on. So Virgo, I wish you all the best for the rest of this month. Definitely check in again for your June cards. And if you found this helpful at all, please go ahead and throw it a like. I hope to see you again next month. Take care and bye for now.